All right, we were happy to bring on the Oregon Ducks' newly promoted defensive coordinator just a couple of days before spring ball kicks off in Eugene. Chris Hampton. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Fired up, ready for spring ball.
Absolutely. I want to start with the new job or the new title. I mean, you were the co-defensive coordinator before, but Tosh leaves, goes to Cal. You take over as the DC. What's different about your job title now, about the logistically what you do day to day? I mean, obviously you guys game plan together. You kind of worked as a whole unit for the past few years, but now that you are the defensive coordinator, not the co-DC, what's different for you in your job title?
Yeah, the biggest difference is today I'm just in charge of the day-to-day operations, organizing the practice plans, the practice scripts, where each and every one is on the type of different field locations, depending on the practice format. Just in charge of making sure that everything is organized and detailed and ready to go. Going through all the install drawings, making sure the drawings are correct. Anything that we've changed, from the self scout and through from last season to now, make sure that it's updated and then ultimately, call into plays.
Obviously, I mean it's still spring ball. It's not like you've done a season with this. I mean you've done it before at Tulane and previous stops. But how's that transition been for you so far at this stop?
That's been great. I know a lot of the guys on the team. We got a few new guys, so I know I've had a previous relationship with each and every one that's here. Got a tremendous staff. A bunch of guys who were here, with me last season and seasons before that. So I still got Coach Lanning with me. So I got an ultimate, trump card with him, and we've got great players. So it's been fun.
You worked with Tosh for what, 3 years, I think. What did you learn from him as
Yes.
the defensive coordinator that you're trying to kind of incorporate into, your own role there?
Yeah, I mean, Tosh was extremely organized. Each and every day he brought it. No one will ever outwork Tosh. He works extremely hard. I don't know when the guy sleeps. He's got tremendous work ethic. So the biggest thing I learned from him was just organization and being detailed and just being on top of it each and every day.
When people think about, new coordinators coming in, a lot of times they think about the offensive side of the ball. They think about the new offensive scheme, like what the offensive coordinator is going to change, what's going to look new. They don't really think about defensive schemes or defensive, that philosophy. How are you different from Tosh? Is there anything defensively, and go into this as much as you feel comfortable going into this, but what's different about your defense than Tosh's defense? Are there changes that you fans can expect to see this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think our defense is going to be predicated off our players, and I think that's what
Mhm.
any great coach does. It's about who are your best players, what do they do good, what do they not do as good. How do I highlight their strengths, how do I hide their deficiencies. So I think it's about who, what, and how. And I think then from there you build. What do we do best, based off our personnel, who are our best players, and how can we make our players, look great on Saturday nights. And so that's what I think you base it off of. If you think of our first year here, my first year here, 2023. We were more of an outside leverage, four down nickel team. And then the
Mhm.
next year, we had Derek Harmon and Jamari Caldwell in 2024. We were more of a three down inside leverage quarters team. And then this past season, we had Dylan Thieneman. We were more of an umbrella shell operation. So it just depends on who your players are. We've got a lot of tools. We can tweak each and every year. We're always going to do self scouting and see how can we grow, how can we get better. But I think a lot of what we do and how I plan to, you know, deploy our players is based off who our best players are and how can we, put them in the best position to be successful.
Is it still a little bit too early? I mean, you've got so many guys coming back from last year. Is it a little bit too early to know exactly what this team is going to be
Yeah.
yet, or do you kind of know in a general sense like what this defense is going to look like?
No, I mean, I think we're talented, but it's really too early to really tell. We haven't had a practice yet. We're going to go out there and start practicing on Thursday and, build from there. We just install, our base concepts and, the base of our defense, our bread and butter. But as we go, we'll figure out who our best 11 and go from there.
Obviously, you're not the only coordinator hire this year. Drew got promoted to take over at offensive coordinator after Will left. I imagine that's kind of cool just to have someone next to you who you've worked with before, kind of stepping up alongside you. How do you think he's handled that transition on the offensive side of the ball?
Tremendous, man. Drew's a extremely smart individual, knows the game inside and out. I've had the opportunity to sit beside him each and every year I've been here in the staff meetings and hear his thoughts on offensive football and defensive football. The guy's brilliant. and he's working extremely hard. He's got the offense extremely organized right now. He's doing a great job. So I'm fired up to watch him go.
We saw over the past couple of years that Tosh and Will kind of had this fun relationship back and forth where, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, they went after each other. Have you felt that kind of develop a little bit with Drew since you guys are, your defense is trying to stop his offense all the time. He's trying to get over on you.
I'm sure that will happen once we start going against each other in the spring. But right now it's just been been fun working with him and just going through the organization. Okay, you're putting in this, I'm putting in this. Just organizing, what's day one install, what's day two install. And so he's been great as far as that goes. Man, Drew's extremely organized. He's on top of it. He plans well in advance, which I like.
I want to talk to you about some individual players before we get out of here. Nasir Wyatt was an incredible player last year as a true freshman. He was a very limited role player, though. I mean, he was mostly a third down rusher. What does he need to do in his game to become more of an every down player and still keep that, explosiveness and that production up?
Yeah, I think he just got to continue to grow and develop in his knowledge of the scheme. He has to show that he can play, on first down versus the run, first, second down versus the run, which I think he can. I'm fired up about him. I think everyone in the organization is. I think this guy can have a big season for us. We're happy that he's here and he's working extremely hard in the off season. I can tell from some of the meetings we've had that his knowledge and IQ is tremendously skyrocketed since last season, and I think he can be a guy to have a breakout season for us. That's part of the who you were talking about. When you asked about what's the defense going to look like, I think a lot depends on guys like Nas, and how they continue to develop, and where can we best see him on the field at.
Another true freshman, obviously, one of the first guys that people mention is Finney. I mean, he was electric last year. He was, I think, better than anyone expected him to be, at least outside the program. Maybe you guys had ideas early on that he would be this, but where can he stand to get better? He's already such an incredible cornerback. What do you think his ceiling is, at Oregon?
Ooh, his ceiling. I mean, he's got a tremendous high ceiling. I think he can be a guy that's, one of the best in the country, and I think he's striving to be that. I really do. He's got extreme work ethic. This guy's infatuated the process, works extremely hard. I think that he can just continue to be more consistent. That's it. I think that's the biggest thing with him is being consistent each and every game. And he's working at that to dominate his opponent each and every week.
You guys lose someone like Bryce Betcher, just an absolute leader in the middle, leader for the team. Jerry Mixon obviously is a very established linebacker. He was great for you guys last year. There's a lot of unknowns, relative unknowns. That's a harsh word, but outside of that, I mean, Braden, Devin, you got Dylan, you got Gavin. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of potential there. What do you want to see from them? Is it just a little bit more consistency, kind of stepping up and make sure they're able to be that guy alongside Jerry?
Yeah, I think it's their time now to take that next step. Last season we looked at the secondary, no one knew who, like you said, Brandon Finney was. No one knew who Aaron Flowers was. He had never played. No one knew who Ife Obadegwu was. And they became 3 starters for us. So I think we've recruited really good players. They all got a lot of talent in the linebacker room. Now it's just time for them to go out there and play and take ownership and understand that their time is now. And I think they have. And I like to look in their eyes in the offseason for sure. I think they know it's time for them now to play. There's no Bryce, so it's someone has to step up. And I think that we're going to have maybe, a few guys do that.
Losing someone like Dylan Thieneman to the NFL, that's always tough to replace. You guys went to the transfer portal and replaced him with Coy Parrish, who is, again, the number one transfer safety available. What have you seen from him so far early, just in the, the weights process, the offseason workout process, him coming in and kind of taking that leadership role from Dylan and just being, hopefully the next guy, someone in that room?
Yeah, I think that the number one thing I've noticed about Coy is he's infatuated with the details. He's going to work extremely hard. He's up here in the building all day studying, watching film, getting bonus meetings in, watching film from last season, watching themselves, asking good questions, works extremely hard in the weight room. Did a great job in the conditioning and the sprints this off season. And I think that, he wants to get better. That's the number one thing. I think this guy's came here and he wants to grow. He wants to be a better player. He wants to improve from what he was last season. And if a guy has that type of mindset where he wants to grow, I think we can work with him.
How nice is that as a coach to be somewhere like Oregon and it's, you lose someone like Thieneman. It's like, oh, okay, we're just going to replace them with Coy. No big deal.
That's the reason why you come here. It is. I mean, you come here because you can acquire talent. It's the number one deal. You can get you can get great players, and that's what makes this job fun. You can coach great players, and makes my job easier.
I want to ask you about Aaron Scott. He's someone who he seems like he's kind of flown under the radar in the transfer portal class so far.
Yeah.
Someone you guys recruited out of high school. He chose to go to Ohio State, but then came back to Oregon now. What does he bring to this room that maybe you didn't have already, or maybe he just brings some more of it?
Yeah, he was a great special teams player at Ohio State. Did a great job on kickoff and on punt. Played a little bit on defense, but I think he was looking for a fresh start. This is a place that he visited out of high school, and I think that he's came in with the right mindset, similar to Coy. He's working extremely hard. He has a little position versatility. He can play inside and outside. He's quick. He's got great change of direction, and I think that he's just looking forward to the opportunity to go out and compete for a position.
Two more for you. We talked about the returners on this defense, mainly at the defensive line. I mean, you return your front four. That's an incredible thing to do, especially with how talented those guys are. What's the vibe like among that group? I mean, they know they're good. They know that last season didn't end how they wanted it to. Like, what's the kind of vibe you felt going into this spring from that group in particular?
I think those guys aren't satisfied at all. They all came back for a reason. I think each and every guy in that room that returned that was here last season is hungry and hungry to improve and to grow, and hungry for this team to reach the maximum capability that we can reach, and then obviously hungry for themselves to get better as individual players. So that's what I've seen from that group. It hasn't been a whole lot of rah-rah. It's just been a lot of work that I can appreciate from watching those guys go day to day.
That's good. It came out last night when the full coaching staff was released that Ryan Switzer is on the staff now. I was a fan of his at North Carolina. I know a lot of fans saw that name and were like, oh, okay, that's someone new. I don't know how long he's been there. I don't know how closely you've been able to work with him, but what's it like seeing someone like that, a high profile name coming in as an offensive analyst and kind of taking one of those jobs to be in that Oregon program?
Yeah, well, I'm just meeting him too. I think this is his first week on the job, and
Right.
I trust Coach Lanning. Coach Lanning brought him in, and I always remember him as a player. He was a great player. Got drafted by the Cowboys, I think.
Mhm.
Played at North Carolina. Was a great college football player, and I think he's going to help us out.
Okay, awesome. Well, Coach Hamp, thanks very much for giving us the time. We look forward to seeing you this week, this weekend, and then next month, the spring game, and just getting back into football season. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and fired up for it.
Absolutely. All right, great stuff there with Coach Hamp. That was very fun. Good to talk to him, like now in his new role. I know he's been the co-defensive coordinator at Oregon for a couple of years now. He's worked with Tosh. He knows what he's doing there. It's not like it's a new job for him. He's just got a little bit more on his plate. But good to catch up with him ahead of spring practice. I know we will talk to Dan on Thursday after practice, and then we'll talk to Coach Hamp and offensive coordinator Drew Mehringer on Saturday. So good stuff. A lot of content coming up. Make sure to check out duckswire.usatoday.com. Find all of our stuff there. We'll be covering this, full go. It's spring season now. I can't wait. I'm happy it's here. There's finally stuff to write about. You're not scrounging and searching for stuff to write about. So this is a fun time of year once again. Before we close out, let's get to just a short mini episode or mini, segment of Cleats Off. It's our new segment that Jay Stu and I are doing at the end of each episode where we just kind of step away from football for a second, catch up on life, talk about random stories, questions, problems, whatever we're going through lately. My Cleats Off today, as you can see, I am in a new studio. I'll step aside so you can see it. It is bare bones at the moment. We are in the new house. This is my new office. This will be my new podcast studio. I thought this would just be kind of a fun time to show what it looks like. And, you'll get to see the progression over the next weeks, months. I don't know how long it's going to take to get this set up and looking like how I want it. But I was considering, like, do I stop recording the podcast in here? Do I record it elsewhere until the office is fully ready? I thought it'd be fun to, let you guys kind of go along and see how it evolves and see where we get with this all. So the audio, I think, will improve. The lighting for sure will improve. I've got new lights ordered on the way. The decorations, obviously there's no decorations right now, but I think it's fun. I'm gonna be able to make it what I want it. My office is not going to be turned into another nursery. I can tell you that much. No more kids on the way. So I will be able to set this up as a podcast studio office and, keep it that way and not be pushed out of it at some point. So that's my little version of Cleats Off this week. Just a fun look into, what's to come. It'll be, I think, kind of entertaining to, maybe a couple months down the road, be able to look back and see, oh, wow, that's what that studio used to look like. And now it's kind of evolved and changed into this thing. So little something special for the end, but nothing big. Everything's good. Spring football's back. Once again, we'll be back on with Jay Stu next week and continue this stuff. So until then, you can check out more of my work again at duckswire.usatoday.com. Follow me at Zachary C. Neel on Twitter. Until then, though, we'll talk to you guys next week.